Hey there. So I've noticed in the past few days some kind of weird shift happening where people who were half-assedly listening to those of us who are bucking the narrative, those people seem to have gotten to a point where they're now lashing out or projecting to the messenger. So I've personally observed this. I've been unfriended and I've had to unfamily some people. But I just wanted to kind of circle back now that we're kind of approaching the 3 freaking year mark of this situation, and just kind of walk you through what I have been observing. So I don't typically get into all of my credentials in these videos because basically it takes too long, but for this video, I'm gonna kind of rehash some of them. So my name is Dr. Patty Barch. I'm a traditional naturopath and owner and founder of Naturally Unbridled Wellness in Onalaska, Wisconsin. Have a very unique background for someone who's in the natural health field in that I started my career in the biotechnology industry. I did cancer research and drug development for 8 years. I worked on a really amazing cancer drug that cured every type of cancer that we tried it on in mice. And it was so not toxic that the mice actually gained weight. It was water soluble, it was saline soluble. We were super excited about it, multiple scientific publications about it. I presented my data at the American Association for Cancer Research annual meeting. I had 2 posters there and my colleague had another poster there. It was freaking phenomenal and unbelievable because it was also orally available. You could dose it by mouth, which was like a phenomenally exciting thing for an anti-cancer agent. And it went to clinical trials. And in the clinical trials, it started killing people. It gave them heart attacks. And the drug got shut down and they sent it back to us. We tried some things and we tried some different models and we saw, yep, it actually elevates the blood pressure to dangerous levels. In certain species, mice are not humans, so the mice weren't experiencing that, but other species were. And the drug got shut down and it's dead now. I don't think it does anything. They maybe sold it off, but it, it's dead in the water. So during my time in biotech, I earned my master's degree in biology. I already had 2 undergraduate degrees in animal science. I've since earned 2 doctorates in natural health. I am certified in immunohistochemistry, so I'm very familiar with antibodies. I also was contracted by the state of Massachusetts as part of a team to develop the biotechnology curriculum standards and teacher certification test for the Massachusetts Department of Education. I've been in practice full-time in my natural health center for almost 11 years. And I think that I offer a very unique perspective on this situation because I've actually been on both sides of the fence. So when this situation started to come to light in early 2020, I was making observations from an expert in scientific method and also in health and wellness. And I realized at that point that I could offer a perspective that very few people could offer, in that I have, I'm very well versed in health and wellness, but then also in drug development and clinical trials. And so I had this conversation with myself about getting out there and saying some things that may or may not be in alignment with what is being told in the mainstream media. And as a business owner, I recognized there was a significant risk in doing that. I have full-time employees that work for me. I have, a decade plus invested into this practice. And I realized that my business could definitely take a hit for me to speak out and say like, hey, slow your roll. You need to understand this is how the immune system works. You need to understand this is how clinical trials are supposed to work. You need to understand how these government agencies are funded by private industry, like, you know, kind of breaking it down. I've done dozens of videos breaking down how PCR works, why autoimmune issues are a concern, why fertility issues are a concern, et cetera, et cetera. I have spent hundreds of hours reading scientific journal articles, listening to scientists teach about this situation, doing a deeper dive into some of the experts who were doing treatment of this disease, and some that were involved in the development of the technology. And I red flagged this early that this was not the typical V, right? It's not the typical thing. It is literally a gene therapy product, and how gene therapy products have a different curriculum of criteria that they need to meet in order to be, to get green lighted, but how all of those things were skipped, and how early treatment was suppressed. And, based on these literally hundreds of hours of reading scientific journal articles and listening to podcasts and interviews and like deep diving into this, based on the information that I learned through those resources, I talked about there being the risk of massive autoimmune issues, and then fertility issues, and cardiac issues, and cancer, and neurological issues, and inflammatory issues, and allergies. And you know what? Every single one of them is coming true. I am seeing all of these things in my practice, and I know that they're seeing these in the medical side of things as well. And I know that clients that have, were born with a congenital heart defect can't get into their cardiologist for weeks and weeks, even for the quote unquote emergency appointments. I have had teenage girls and young women who stopped getting their menstrual cycle after the intervention. I've had teenagers who started getting seizures after the intervention. I've had other clients who developed chronic fatigue syndrome, and all of a sudden we're walking with a walker. I still am not seeing success with the fertility clients who got the gene therapy product. The ones who didn't, they get pregnant at the normal rates. I've had 3 clients who passed a decidual cast, which is the inside lining of the uterus just falls out. We've had several people in here who have developed aggressive late stage cancers in a very short amount of time. Countless cases about people who have hives now that never had these weird hives before, and they're having to take Allegra every day. Countless people with joint pain that they have. Unbelievable amount of people who are diagnosed with more than one autoimmune disease at the same time. And, it's not that hard to figure out. You sit down, you do a timeline, you're like, when did all these things start? And when did your arm get hurt? Oh, every single one of your problems started within hours to months after. And, some people, when I bring it to their attention, I never see them again, and I'm okay with that. I am morally obligated to tell you what I know, and what you do with that is on you. But other clients are like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. Every problem I have started after that, and what can I do about it? So, as someone who tried to hoist a red flag and warn people about, oh, no, clinical trials are supposed to take a decade for these types of products. And if they could have created a product that worked for this type of issue, Years ago, they would have done it they've been working on it for years. So how did they do this in 8 months? And it's supposed to really like work well and not be harmful at all. So I think what's happening is we're at a point where people are realizing that maybe we were onto something, those of us crazy people on this side of the fence. And maybe they're lashing out at us because of that. But I have to tell you, you know, as someone who raised the red flag and worked really hard to do a lot of educating about this situation and why you're not being told the whole story and why some of the things that you're being told they just simply cannot be true. And then to have people that we care about go in and do it anyway. Okay, everybody has autonomy and like totally fine, but you can't be mad at me for trying to help people to not have to deal with a litany of issues that we are seeing now because they have this thing in their body. And one last thing about that thing that is in their body is, remember, it is a genetic recipe to get your cells to produce a protein. And they still don't know how long the body is going to make that protein. And they figured out that it doesn't stay where they said it was going to. It goes throughout the body. The protein that it makes is massively inflammatory. It messes up the immune system. And they have no idea how long it's going to keep doing it for. People think that they made an informed decision, but I've had nurse practitioners in here that I've had to explain how this intervention is different from all the other ones that they put in the same category, and they didn't even understand that. The other thing that people don't realize is the dose of the recipe that is in that intervention. The one that starts with P, the old version, because now we have this new like double version, but the old version had 30 micrograms of the recipe in every poke. And then the M one actually had 100 micrograms of the recipe in every poke. So you could get 3 times of the P and still not hit the recipe level of 1 time of the M. But wait, there's more. Now there is this bivalent one, right? It has 2 things in it, 2 parts of it. So one part of it is the original strain that no longer exists. So why is that still in there? Because that has not been on the planet for like years at this point. And then there's the other part of it that's for a more current strain. But how much of the recipe is in there? I don't know. I haven't seen that data yet. You know, is it 30 micrograms of each? Is it 100 micrograms of each? Right? Shouldn't we know that? And shouldn't they know how this is getting out of your body and if and when it's going to stop making these proteins? Because I'll tell you what, I've got people contacting the office that they've got these allergy issues, these pain issues, these blood pressure issues that they didn't have before, and it has been months and months and months since they had their last intervention. So I'm sorry for all the people that believed the reporters who are funded by the manufacturers of these products. Sorry that you believed the politicians whose campaigns are funded by the manufacturers of these products. And sorry that your body has been, you know, whether you're aware of it or not at this point, your body is impacted and probably permanently. So we do the best we can here in the natural health world to try to bring the body back to balance. And we're learning ways of trying to like really reduce that inflammation and help to get that pointy protein out of the body. But it's kind of a mess, and I'm sorry that we got here. And I'm sorry that people feel that I'm the bad guy for revealing that you're not getting the full story here. So, yeah, this one's kind of a downer. Sorry, folks. Peace out. Have a healthy day.